Welcome to Talking in Stations. It's May 28th. I am Matterall here with the crew. Gonna have a casual night. It's Friday. Go over some news, but also talk about other subjects as well that relate to EVE Online. So welcome to Talking in Stations Friday. With me today is Abby Rova.
Hey everybody, happy Friday.
We also have Nick Bison here with us.
Good evening, everybody.
We have Gregorian.
Hi.
And of course, Shen, who's been showing up all week and delivering some really cool and interesting stuff. So that's
Hello, everyone.
Sorry, yep. forgot to give you a chance.
Yeah. Okay.
Oops.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Got too excited there. Thanks for joining us again, Shen. Appreciate it. All right. So tonight, well, Abby, I have your image up there on screen. So
yeah, I was just gonna say that's kind of awkward.
Yeah, so that's it's like it could switch you out for something else, I suppose. Let's start.
Put up some of the news.
Let's take it from. Okay, let's take it from the top. And interviews from CCP this week, or actually yesterday came. This was day 3, I guess.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, it was 6 hours ago, wasn't it, yesterday?
All right, well, here's the schedule, though. They had this morning at, sorry, not morning. For Europe, it was in the afternoon at 18:30. They had Robert Downey Iron. Then at 18:45, so these are only 15 minutes long, Kenneth Feld. Then Dutch Gunner at 1900. Rix Javix at 1915. And I won't read the dates of the times anymore, but I'll put them in the order. Dr. Spod was on. Gay Pride Boom was on. Brisk Rubal was on. Ron followed Brisk, and Teddy followed Ron. And Hurley Lex, then followed by Jim Halscott, and it was all capped off with Mike Azaria. So those are the CSM interviews, 15 minutes long. And that was day 3. You can check those out at CCP Twitch.
Yeah, and the last 2 days of interviews they did are up there as well. So if you missed any of them, or you just want to watch one particular candidate, you can go back and watch the interview.
Yeah, we'll check that out. All right. Let's see. So CCP Swift put out a little, I don't know what this is, post in the forums here. Let's read it. This is the first time I'm seeing it. Just wanted to give you a quick update. The Stargate Trailblazers event, which was scheduled to end on 1st of June, has been extended to the 3rd in order to allow more players to compete with the support of empires and their construction efforts throughout New Eden. So I believe that 1 week-long event has been extended a couple days.
I think this has something to do with the fact that for the first day there was kind of a few issues with like sites being full and you couldn't get into them. Yep. And then sometimes they weren't actually full. So yeah, it's nice that they've extended it and given people a bit more opportunity to come and join in.
I think that's an astute point there, Abby. And if I look, there's a little more here. The competition is heating up as Capsuleers rush not only to gain rewards through the revamped LP store, but also to secure their legacy, because you get your name there. The empires are rewarding the top 10 characters and top 5 player corporations with special monuments placed alongside each new gate, celebrating those who contributed the most to their construction. So each gate will have 10 players and 5 corporations listed. If you're in the top spots, you will be permanently remembered on one of those 4 gates. Finally, with this event, through high, low, and nullsec security, there is still time to make your mark on New Eden. Follow the leaderboard of progress, and CCP Swift gives a link to a CCP Fozzie dev blog where he reports the basically the horse race, who's winning. And should we go through that, Abby? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. This kind of reminds me of the actual Eve monument in Iceland, right? At the time, every active account got their name on this monument. Now, if you contribute to help building these gates, your name personally or your corporation name will be forever immortalized as helping to build the gates. Great
Quick
way
aside.
to.
I was going to say, quick aside, Ash just rated us with dang near 200 folk.
Yeah, they're watching Ash Jarothi interviews CCP Fozzie, so they probably know more than we do right now. Probably a great interview. We'll check it out after this program. But thank you for rating, Ash, and welcome to Talking in Stations, guys. We're going to go through some news and then lounge a little bit and talk about EVE Online in a, I don't know, talk radio kind of way. We'll see how it goes. So Kaldari State, this is the Haikota Gate, and the top characters, well, I could really entertain everybody by trying to pronounce these names and trip all over them, but I'm just going to let you look at them instead. The top corporations, I could do those. Russian Space Academy, Red Cold Chili Banderlogs Academy, Academia, Red Hot Corporation, Adeptus Ministrum Ecclesia.
Adeptus. Gregorian, you can get this, right? It's 40K reference.
That's a Warhammer 40K reference. I'm not looking at it right now, but yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, so
I think it's
40. What is it?
I think it's Adeptus Ministorum Ecclesiarches.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Something like that.
Ecclesiarches.
You see, in Warhammer 40K, the main faction is the Imperium, which is their official church has two main names that it goes by: the Adeptus Ministorum and the Ecclesiarchy.
There you go. That's probably what it is. And then anyway, so the fifth corporation there is Caldaris Hive.
I could have done that
job.
one.
All right, sorry. But great job to those 5 corporations there, and of course the 10 players working hard getting their names on these stuff.
Doing a good job. Keep it up, and you will finish. Remember, you need to finish at the top 5 corporations or the top 10 players for each gate. So those are the guys in the lead right now. On the Abazon gate, which is a really important gate, I believe Abazon is in Genesis. So I think there's a couple gates that end in Genesis. We're looking at this one because it creates a new low-sec point between 2 trade hubs. And in doing so, it will create a new Rancer area, basically a choke point for pirates to intercept cargo on ships trying to get to the market through a shortcut. So it's an interesting gate. But they have top 10 players there. And here's the player corporations contributing to the Abzon Gate. The Skunk Gang, Triglavian Clade, Halo United Nations Space Command, Cat's Motel, I like that one, and Terreno. Congratulations, guys. Keep it up. You're not there yet, but good luck. Galente Federation Strategic Material. This is the Kinnick Gate. Kinnick. Something like that. Let's see if I recognize these names. This is great because I don't recognize these names, and that gives me a ton of hope. I'm going to go back real quick. I don't recognize these names. That gives me a ton of hope that there's a whole class of players that are up and coming and making their mark on EVE Online. So that just makes me super happy. So on the Galente Gate, ooh, look at this. A corporation I understand, the Malevolon Row Industries. Malevolon Row Industries. I probably said it wrong and I shouldn't have. That is Ashtaroth's Corp, I believe. Nadir Security Consultants. ISK Industries. That belongs to Spod.
Spod. That's Spod's guys.
Yeah. He told me they're killing everybody who's competing with them. I guess that's fair if you're in a Mad Max kind of world. So they're killing people trying to help out while they shovel all the rocks as quickly as possible. In 4th place is Edge of Infinity, and rounding out the 5th place is Founding Flame. That is in the Galente Gate. And finally, the Agaron Gate. I believe this is the Minmatar one, isn't it? Let's see. Again, there's 10 players in there in the lead, and the 5 corporations are... what?
Agaron is the other side of the Galente Gate.
Oh, okay. Thank you. The corporation there is Solar Winds Trade Conglomerate. In second place, Mantrid Drones and Puppets Incorporated. An Academy of Space Corporation, Keepers of Truth. And finally, the Academy of Russian Federation. I thought we'd seen them before.
Yeah, they're a very large corporation, so it's quite possible for them to be on the list for multiple gates because of how many people they have.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Rendell, for the Prime. That reminds me, there's some kind of a hype train going on, thanks to the large crowd. If you guys want to use your Prime to support the station, that would be much appreciated. If not, do what you can with the chat and hang out with us. All right. Finally, we have the Urgerus Gate, the Penord constellation. This is Minmatar Republic and OMFG Solo Corporation, Edgenger, New First Step, Kekoban, and Triton Solutions are the corporations winning there. They have a top 10. Yes, they do. Okay. And on the other side of it, and this is actually in, this is the other side of the Minmatar Gate, because I think this lands in Genesis as well. This is an important gate too, because it creates a, basically a route between trade hubs that doesn't have low-sec in the middle of it. So you can travel safer through this path where this bridge is used.
Honestly, I'm not a fan of that idea. I think that since, well, the 4 empires are divided into 2 blocks, with the Omar and Kaldari not liking the Galente and Minmatar, it would make sense to have to pass through Losec to get between Omar Kaldari space and Galente Minmatar space.
All right, so this gate has, let's see if I recognize anybody. Nope, good. That actually makes me feel great. And the corporations are Phoenix Naval Operations. Here's French La Éclairée de Taucetti. There's Malevolon Row Industries. And First Legion. And then in 5th place, Eagles. Now here in Amar, on the Salmoneer Gate, you have the top 10 guys or girls involved in that. And the corporations are River Mining Corporation, Skunk Gang, Bunda. This was the way. Oscuro Amanecer. That's Dark Menace, I think, in Spanish. Okay, finally we get to the other side of that gate is in Stain. Dun, 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 dun. And there is nobody. What? There's no corporations, no people.
No one appears to be running the sites for the gate in Stain.
Stain Gate. No people are brave enough to go into Stain to try to mine to get this gate.
The problem with going into Stain is that you end up in Stain.
Yeah, it's not there yet, so you get trapped. And
CCP Swift saying Stain residents don't want it done. Although they're coming either way.
Yeah, so Phoenix Naval Operations is mentioned with one of the gates. I think the second list of Minmatar on the Minmatar gates, they're a role-playing corporation that has been involved with some of the recent fighting in Pochven.
There's been a lot of fighting there.
Yeah, I've been interested in seeing what's going on there.
We're going to talk about that with Arcia, and I think we're trying to arrange an interview with Moldavian, I think.
Maldavius.
That's what I said. And he's leader of the Stride Bog, so we'll try to get their perspectives. Sunday, we'll talk to Arcia. So here's where the Stain Gate is going. I don't know if it's easy to see or not. Let me just grab this. Right there. Right here.
Time to bust out your tablet.
Yeah, well, yeah. Get some use out of it. I'm not using my pen, though. That's what I need to use. Right. So this is going to connect across this big old sea of darkness here. And go down to Stain. And Stain is basically this area. Normally you had to go through Providence and then Catch, and then you were into Stain. On the, let's see here. On the far side, there was, I think, Fate. Esoteria. That's a better picture of Stain. So the thing about, if you look at it, let's zoom in here. If you look at Stain, here's the thing that's deadly about it. It is very much a pipe system. So as you can see, there's one entrance, one exit, one entrance, one exit, one entrance, one exit. There's really no options except to go through these, what we call pipes. It's like a dot to dot. In other areas, you can see you come into an area and you have all kinds of different ways to go. So you can kind of run around gate camps. But when you're in this kind of a place where there's really no option except to go through here, you have tons and tons of gate camps in that scenario because people know you're coming in that direction. So Stain is incredibly deadly. That's one of the reasons it's deadly. Another one has pretty bad jump range, I think, and no centralized system to be able to kind of conquer all of it at once or whatever. You can't really conquer Stain because it's NPC. But if you were doing capital operations there, it's probably a little harder. And I don't know, Stain for me has really great bad memories of trying to take Esoteria, Impasse, and Catch. We came in. I think I was in Dead Terrorists at the time. We were working with Initiative and who am I thinking of? Nick, you were part of what alliance? Why can't I think of the name? Circle of Two.
Oh, CO2 when we were down in Impasse. Yep.
Yeah, Circle of Two. And then there was Dead Terrorists who were trying to kind of move up. They were low sec, but they were trying to move up. And we literally couldn't even go to the market to buy an afterburner for our fits because we moved down there without equipment. We had to move really fast to be a part of this thing. So we got there without a lot of equipment and our logistics was terrible. And so we had to literally cannibalize each other's wrecks. So if somebody died, they would be like, hey, give me my stuff back. People would be like, nope, I need that. So it was a great, terrible time of taking things from each other inside your own alliance.
And now they're living in a wormhole.
And now they're a wormhole group, yeah. Well, that was back when they were pretty early on.
Also in Stain, it's essentially occupied region. So that means it has the kind of intact armor plate, which is one of the best relic sites that you can do to get the intact armor plate from. So one is the armor one is in Stain, and the other one is in Venno, which is up in the north. So maybe after Stain, we can have an Empire Gate from, I don't know, Forge or Citadel to Venno. So you can balance out the price for both the armor and the shield relics.
Great remark from CCP Aurora. So flying through Stain always feels like having to walk through sketchy back alleys, avoiding making eye contact with the people in the shadows.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, walk quietly, walk fast, put your head down and go. It was horrible. But it was fun. It was some of the best, most memorable times in EVE Online are usually when you're most miserable, which is when people say like, hey, if you're not having fun in EVE Online, why are you playing? And I'm thinking, that's when you play EVE Online, when you're not having fun. That's when you're going to remember all that stuff, all that good pain. Okay. So those are the gates, and we ended up looking at Stain there at the end. Maybe somebody will be brave enough to get their name on the Stain gates. At least the Stain guy could do it, right? I mean, this is like a dream come true for him.
Yeah, he's announced that he's deleting his character to mark this event.
Okay.
Which
I mean, a lot of Stain guys are
I don't think is a particularly great decision.
I think it would be nice if no one else ran the site and he just did it once and he got his name
Yeah,
on that
totally.
gate as the only person on it.
Sweep in at the end. That would be
Clutch
so
move.
awesome. Yeah. It would be like he built the whole thing himself.
I see a lot of Stain guys right now in Esoteria, so I think they're busy in Esoteria than in Stain. So that may be why. Who knows?
All right. Oh, I'd like to say hi to all the CCPers that were probably watching Astrathi's stream with, I can't say his first real name, but CCP Fozzie. So CCP Swift, Aurora. I thought I saw Alpha in there. You guys are champs for hanging out with us streamers. Okay, let's go on to see what else we have today. Might be a good time to say that we recorded earlier this week an interview with Aurora, and CCP Tigershark was her first interview, so she'll be a new face unless you went to eVegas, where you might have seen her near the backstage. And we talked about new players and the Academy website, which they have built. And so we will be showing that on Sunday with the regular program for everybody, just like we did a couple weeks ago. And it was a great interview, lots of fun, and really nice. I wish it could have gone another hour, so we could have really we could have taken a dive, I'll say, into how Aurora started playing and how Ashley was Ashley from Ashley in Space. Her name is Ashley, though. And Mike from Eve University could have talked about their stories and how they started, but you know, time was short.
Mike Kingswell?
Kingswell. Yeah, Mike Kingswell.
Yeah, I remember him from when I was with them. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's nice. Funny guy. And
Funny enough.
little teaser, you're going to hear pickup lines, one from CCP Aurora that is a killer. So look for that. Look forward to
So
that.
what you're saying is Sunday we're going to have a great interview about the Poshpin stuff with Arcia and going to be playing this amazing interview with CCP. Sounds like a great show already. What time is that on Sunday?
1600, the usual time for the Sunday show. It turns into the podcast too. So if you don't catch it, you can see it on YouTube or you can listen to it on Talking in Stations, the podcast, the proper podcast. This is the improper podcast. Okay. So next thing, we did the Trailblazers. So that event had a few hiccups at the beginning. They've extended the playtime for another 2 days to kind of make up for that, I think. So there's, but things are going smoothly now, aren't they?
Yeah, things are definitely much more smoother now. There is one small issue where CCP clarified that they don't want people going into these sites and denying other people the ability to partake in these sites. So they're like gated and there's a limited number of people allowed in them. So if I was to enter into the site and just burn away 1,000 kilometers and do nothing, I would actually be denying someone else the ability to come in and partake in this site. Shooting the orcas as well and making people have the inability to turn in the ore is kind of considered bad sportsmanship.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. There's a post clarifying what CCP kind of don't want the kind of behavior of people taking part in these sites. I dropped it in the podcast channel there.
Yeah,
but it's you're allowed to kill them if you're in low sec or null sec, right? But you can't deny their content by the game mechanics, right?
Yes, absolutely. You can still kill people coming in and out of the sites, catch them on gates, bubbles, all the normal PvP rules are perfectly fine. You just can't be a bad sportsman and deny someone else the ability to partake and get their name on the leaderboard and stuff.
Yeah, I
Now I
think
have a question. What about bumping? Bumping mining ships? Is that count as proper or improper way
no,
of
it's,
denying
it's
content?
proper. I think that's in the game, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
also a way to, like, I don't know, get people
Well, I
away
think what
from.
CCP was trying to say with that, and for those that don't know, we actually discussed this with what was it, Caleb and Hateless the other day, and we stumbled upon this area of kind of a gray zone, like what constitutes jamming up the machine. You can't jam up the game. Don't jam up the machine. That prevents players from being able to play with the machine. You can compete against them. You can outplay each other. And there's all kinds of different ways to do that, but you can't jam the machine so they can't play. That's what basically CCP is saying. Bumping, I don't think, is considered jamming up the machine. It's gameplay, I think.
Arguably, good sportsmanship is contrary to the spirit of Eve.
Not true.
that's not true.
Not
I
true.
disagree
Absolutely not true.
100%.
Yeah. It's like saying the natural state of humans is to kill each other, and it's not. It's cooperation is their natural state. People normally want to come together because the ones that wanted to kill each other, they evolved out of existence. So what you have now are people who are tuned to try to figure out their place in a pack and work together. So, but the problem with Eve, or the thing about Eve that makes it special, is you have lots of different little packs competing. So against each other's pack, yeah, there's competition, but inside the pack, there's cooperation. All right.
I think I was just going to say, I think because like ganking and other activities, which in other games would be considered almost bannable offenses, are kind of allowed in EVE Online because it is this shared universe or storyline we're building, like griefing and underhanded, backhanded deals. But I think there's a difference between having a character and role playing a bad guy and pulling off an activity in game like stealing a bank or dropping Sov or dropping your corporation or something versus bad sportsmanship and denying someone else content and the ability for
Well, in this case, it's like, well, we've created this event for players to partake in, and then someone slides in from the outside. It's not normal gameplay, it's an event. And let me screw your event up.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's limited
absolutely
time.
a time limited event.
Right. So, by the way, I love this art alpha. If you did this great artwork, I'm a graphic designer myself. You can't really tell by the way Talking in Stations look, but I am a graphic designer. But this is great. The one exception I had with it was we were trying to figure out what the barges were, which ones, and you have one of each there. But the porpoise is in there, and it turns out the porpoise can't participate in this event. So we thought that was kind of funny. Thought you might switch out the porpoise for something else that could actually participate. Unless that's been changed.
Switch nothing. I love the porpoise.
Touch the porpoise and you get it. Right. All right. Well, then they should maybe have it be able to participate, which I think they were talking about. So not sure what happened there. Yeah. Okay. Next topic, shall we? Let's get on with some news here. We talked about this yesterday, so very briefly. I think we actually showed it on the game, but there's a free skin if you purchase. If you decide to purchase Omega this month, you get a free rattlesnake skin with it, and it's quite beautiful. You can't see it really well here, but it's lit up. It has red highlights on the top and the sides there that are really cool. I think they even blink or they radiate pretty well anyway, so you should check that out. And what's cool about this, and I asked this question too, does that mean that this costs $20 if you subscribe for Omega? And the answer is no. The answer is it only costs $15. Pop quiz, guys. Why does it only cost $15 instead of
15
$20?
is the price of a monthly sub.
Yes, 10 points. That's
Yeah,
right.
the rattlesnake is one of my favorite ships, so I might as well look into that.
Yeah, it's not a bad
I'm
price.
not going to lie. I don't fly the rattlesnake. But after seeing the skin in game, I might actually buy Omega and train it to a rattlesnake.
But the price of rattlesnakes going up like
Well,
crazy.
it is my second favorite mission ship is the rattlesnake.
Well, yesterday we looked at Shen and I looked at the market, and we were looking at faction battleships and faction cruisers, and we were looking at Triglavian loot as well to see how those prices. Well, the Triglavian prices have bottomed out, or they've fallen quite a bit since Poshvin has been kind of opened up for travel a little bit easier. So those prices are half of what they were before. And on the other hand, of course, the production changes have really changed faction battleships or faction ships in general because they require so many more materials to build with from various corners of the galaxy. And some of those are bottlenecked through complicated PI that you have to build, or even new blueprints that you have to build to get the pieces that you need to make the ships. Therefore, the prices are just incredibly high right now. Even though on the market, the ship is like 940 million. We were looking at it, and it's, the build cost for it is much higher than that. It's a crazy amount.
Yeah, I think it was like 2.4 billion.
Yeah, 2.4 billion to build
without the BBC. So
yeah, and I expressed, actually, somebody really took me to task in the YouTube comments saying like, you weren't prepared. You should have hit buy all, and you could have seen the bottleneck and all this other stuff. And he's not wrong, but I kind of don't want to look at prices right now because I don't think they're real. And this gets recorded. And so, I'm not saying that we don't look at prices, because when we're talking about long-term investment, we're not talking about day trading, which you worry about is, price going up, price going down, is going up fast, is going up slow, going down slow. We look at massive trends. So the difference is if you're trying to surf a wave, for instance, then you care about the little signs that you're looking at. Is it the right wave to hit? Am I going to do this or not? I don't work that way. I look at the tide. Is it 4 o'clock? Is the moon in the right place? Okay, then I don't look at prices. I don't look at that kind of stuff because I'm not really trying to make a little bit of money. I'm trying to bet on the future. It's a different type of investing. So
yeah, I think that kind of investing, you're talking about a minimum of 6 to 12 months to see real
minimum. Yeah, I hold things for
yeah.
years, 2 years, 3 years. So yeah, so anyway, the guy was right. But at the same time, I didn't make clear that's a different style. He liked you,
there's
though,
a lot
Shen.
of things. I was going to say there's a lot of things affecting the prices, and one thing is everyone rage building and building as much as they can before the industry changes last month, because that's really locks in your value for the long term. And so there's been so much produced that there's just an oversupply, in the direct short term.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Last topic here that I have, and then we can talk about other stuff, is that on June 5th, we're going to be trying this is from CCP Fozzie, again, who was just on the Universe show from Ash Dorothy. Check that out on Ash Dorothy's Twitch channel. He writes here, then on June 5th, we are going to be trying something new, an experimental, a 24-hour proving ground. From downtime June 5th until downtime June 6th, there will be a special 1v1 Battleship Proving Ground event with a repeatable event challenge to help with ship costs. What's a repeatable event challenge?
So they did this recently with one of the last free-for-alls where if you go into the free-for-all event, or the Proving Ground event initially, you get like a 5 million reward. And then if you do 2,000 damage, you get 10 million. And then if you survive a minute, you get 5 million and this stuff. So there was, I forget which one exactly. I think there was like a battle cruiser event. But if you did one Proving Ground, and even if you lost and got completely blown up, you probably made money. Hateless was talking about this last month. You just doing one and getting to the end and getting blown up would actually probably earn you a profit.
Yeah, let me just deal with some. Goodbye. that's really cool because one of the interesting things that CCP was experimenting with when they made those NPC satios was high risk and risk group content, but a single reward. It dropped, a satio would drop a blueprint or two normally that were invaluable. And so part of the design was, are you going to fight over this blueprint, or are you going to figure out how to share it after you sell it? And are you going to trust your compatriots to not take your cut, after they go to the market? And so this to me seems like the reverse, which is to let people incrementally win ISK so that it's not an all or nothing proposition, so that they can continue to participate. And that is the opposite of what they did for the Satio. It's interesting. I wonder if that'll help.
Especially with it being a Battleship event and Battleships being kind of expensive right now.
Yeah,
and Swift mentions in there that it's an offset subsidy because of the current Battleship prices. So if you take an empty ship in there, you'll get nothing when it blows up. But if you take a properly fitted ship, then there's some some payback.
Like an insurance, it sounds like. Shen, you were saying?
Yeah. I was going to say for the Sotios, things that you're going to mention, like the NPC Sotios in NOSEC, in a way, it is encouraging group work, but there's a mechanic which is the more people you bring in, the bigger the responsibility is going to be. So nowadays, people just use 3 dread bombs, and they can just tank everything and then blow it up. So it's not really a group gameplay at all. It's just one person, either multi-boxing or just 3 people.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on this? Any of you guys participated in this sort of thing? We have other TIS guys that have, but I don't know if you guys have.
I've done a few proving grounds. They're good fun.
Yeah.
I guess one thing that Chad brought up, which is interesting, is the praxis, right?
Mm-hmm.
That thing is really cheap compared to other battleships. It's about half of the price, and it can, with its bonuses, it's really good at anything basically.
Oh, there's a second part to this. I'll just read it. That was the second of 3. This is the third, he says, and this is CCP Fozzie again. And then from June 18th to 22nd, there will be a special Galente Federation Day proving ground event full of Galente cruisers and assault frigates. That's to commemorate the Galente Federation. All right, that's all part of this foundations quadrant that we talked about with CCP and some of the festivities they have. It's a good time to get involved with your environment. All right, that's all the news that we have on the docket here. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about?
In Feythabolis, I guess we skipped this yesterday on the show, but XX and basically Fire wiped out a bunch of IGC iHubs in Feythabolis.
Let's check the iHubs here. That's TCU ownership. Let's look for iHubs. Yeah, we did talk about it, didn't we? In this, no, maybe we didn't.
I don't think we talked about it on the show. Yeah, so in the middle part
right.
of Feythabolis.
XIX.
Yeah, XX, Razor, Unreal, basically Fire Coalition.
Who is IGC? Is that
NVIDIA Gloria Comis? So they used to be legacy renters, but then a couple months ago they decided to break free of legacy.
They stopped paying rent. They were squatters.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, you have to pay the price. So
notice they're picking up space in the middle here, and that is a position of power in a region if you have capital ships, because you project to 5 light year radius or so, something like that. Allows you to kind of dominate an area.
NX5W Tag U, that system. I think there's a Keepstar and a Sotio in there, so I think we're waiting for the Gemmers to be able to get online, so we can gem that system and kill the Keepstar. I think that's a plan right now, but just a standard thing to do after all those Keepstar died in Delph. So right now, gemming a system and then go for the Keepstar, I think is just the right way to do it. Yeah.
So that there's a Keepstar in NX5W, and that's what they're isolating and going to destroy. Okay. Well, I wonder if they had the option to like pay up back rent or something. Like, I wonder what options were given to them diplomatically. Curious about that.
I think no matter what, I think we have to have the control of iHubs. If they want to pay for the rent, if they want to keep renting this place, they have the option. I think that's how it's gonna go. But because the iHub is really important, right? If you give the iHub to IGC, they still have the option to rebel against you. So if you take the iHub away from them, at least you have the option to basically put them down when they tries to rebel. I think that's how it goes. I'm not entirely sure with Soft.
All right, cool. So that's Feythabolis. You can see it up here. And XIX kind of, I believe they're kind of out of the war right now. I know that's a bold statement. I don't mean it to be, because they're clearly still in they can still seriously engage in at any time, but they're probably waiting on some bigger events to participate fully. I believe that they're actually back in this area, pacifying it and doing some legacy cleanup, some cleanup work for legacy, I think.
Well, most of the timers in the war are outside of their peak time zone. They're predominantly Russian.
Well, XIX is, I don't know if Fire Coalition is. They have Razor in there.
Fire is Russian.
Fire is, as a whole, primarily Russian. So
okay.
I don't think it's there. It's fair to say that they're out of the war. It's just that since the war is mostly occurring outside of their peak time zone, they also have to worry about keeping their members occupied.
I mean, but there's activity. I don't buy it. There's activity in Delve like all day long. I just think there's stuff to do over here where they need to make a difference. And Fraternity's doing the same thing. XIX is doing the same thing. That doesn't mean that Pappy is breaking up, but they really have the Imperium in a corral, right? And Imperium doesn't have the choices that it had before. It can't project power from that place over Delve or neighboring regions as well as it could. So with Imperium in a pen, these guys are free to do other work should they want to. There's no point in sitting around testing Imperium's strength by helping Pappy fleets here and there. They're just not going to make a huge difference doing that. So this makes total sense to me. I think NC Dot is doing the same thing. I think Fraternity's doing the same thing. A lot of these groups are living dual lives. They're coming home for the weekends, and then they're or the other way around, they're weekend warriors, but they're coming home for the weekdays. But they are definitely starting to figure out like what the cruising altitude is for this war, and I think that's what's going on here. Which can be good.
The Imperium is successfully holding the line. I'm just not quite sure if they're achieving much beyond that. But they're successfully holding the line for now.
Yeah, well, what's to achieve beyond holding the line for the Imperium? That's what they've got to do. I suppose rolling back some progress, but that to me seems like something that might come later. Not sure. Here's 1DQ. This is the headquarters of the Imperium. They are all the way into this constellation. We'll look at it here. That's the constellation that is still, you can see Condi. Still belongs to them, but everything else is taken over by Pappy forces. You have Test, you have Recon, -10 is Pandemic Legion, and NC Dot, and so forth. Rect is Horde. So this is really like where the Empire is now, but it's a very condensed and dense area with lots of thousands of people in it, thousands and thousands that are putting up resistance, mostly around this area right here. 3 TAC D, that's where a lot of the fights are. And if you see a breach, that's the one that they will have. We've explained this before, but I'll explain it to this audience again, that the reason the fights are happening here is because there is a bridge from T5Z to ETAC K, and then they attack this way.
Well, the other big reason is that that's the other entrance to the constellation.
Right. I'll explain that with this graphics. So T5Z, again, staging for Pappy, has to come in here. That's the only other way in order to attack there, or there, or there, or any of these areas. And this area is incredibly fortified. So they're basically going through the back door here. And that's why the fights...
And that back door is also pretty heavily fortified as well.
Well, let's talk about that. What's it been like? You're fighting on the Pappy side of things there, right?
Right. I'm a member of Capital Fusion, which is a corporation in Pandemic Horde.
Okay, you're in Horde. What's 3 TAC D been like over the last few days?
Well, the past couple of days, there haven't been as many big fleets, but usually a couple times per week at least, we try to go in and see what we can do. I'm not in any of the big planning channels and command channels, but I've really liked being in the Harpy fleets the Headliner has run. Most of the time when I've joined those, it's been because I lost a heavy assault cruiser and was reshipping to... And that was the fleet available, but I've really liked being in Headliner's fleets, for example.
Yeah, the Blarpy... Oops, have an Ajax error. If I can get some kills, and we'll check out Z kill board. Well, ton of capsules. Looks like something went down with Northern Coalition and Caracols. Has the fight been mostly even? I've heard bombing runs were very successful early on for the Imperium, then they became less successful, and then I've heard switching tactics, and it's really been interesting to watch these FCs come up with things, and then
the last big fight
later.
The last big fight was on Tuesday, I believe, which the Imperium was pretty clearly victorious. I lost 3 Harpies, I think, which that's what they're for. The thing is that the big thing that it was being tried in that fight was that Test brought a battleship fleet through, which I'm not sure I would have picked that, but I haven't led any fleets in pretty much a year and never at that level, so I'm not sure I know enough to question this.
Mm-hmm.
They all got blown up, though, didn't they?
Yeah, it did not go well for Test's battleship fleet.
Yeah,
when you're using battleship fighting fighters, which is, I mean, it's kind of predictable, right? It's obvious they're going to be wiped out.
Fairly sure they didn't have any prop mods either, so they had to like slow boat back to the gate, and I don't know if they all got blown up, but I'm fairly sure almost all of them got blown up.
I think the only prop mod that they have is like a jump drive, which doesn't really count as a prop mod.
Yeah, they brought micro jump drive Abaddons.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Guardians as Logis. So, yeah.
All right.
It's not what I would have picked, but...
All right. Goon Swarm looks like they picked up about 5,000 kills in the last, I don't know, I'm looking, I think it's a week, 7 days. And that's about twice as much as Pandemic Horde, but about the same as Pandemic Horde and Test put together. But then when you start adding in Brave Coalition and Northern Coalition and Fraternity, that starts to add up. So that gives you an idea of some of the amount of ships that are being destroyed. It doesn't tell you how much these things are worth, or even what kind of replacement cost, and not just cost, but what kind of replacement effort is necessary. We talked about this with Kenneth Feld a few days ago when Pappy was saying, hey, we've knocked out a lot of their fighters. And I just thought, well, that's curious. Isn't that a waste of time? Shouldn't you be blowing up ships? And I thought about it. It doesn't really matter because they're so close to home they can reship. At the last Imperium fireside chat, you heard Matani saying, here's a hero. He jumped into, he reshipped 8 times. At that point, I'm thinking, that's just like a fighter because they keep coming back. So it really doesn't matter. You're not knocking somebody out of the fight anytime soon in that kind of a scenario. So a fighter is a logical target. What I think I found out later from talking to Kenneth was T2 fighters are a real pain to build.
Oh, yeah. And you don't want to use T2 fighters when T1 will suffice because of the logistical issues.
Right.
Yeah,
And
just
T1 fighters are rather quick to build, but you can see that after the fights that Pappy did well in, those actually looked like they caused the Imperium to run out of fighters on the 1DQ market or something, because they were bringing jump freighters full with T2 fighters in to resupply what they'd been losing.
Yeah. So let's see, I'm pulling here a comment from the crowd here. It's been a year of these stories, all the same, only the system names change. No, I've been watching this war since the beginning, obviously, reporting on it, sometimes live. And this has not been the same. To me, this is definitely a war of attrition. We knew it would be. We're actually quite shocked that we have seen the destruction of 3,000 to 4,000 in just Delve and the surrounding areas, 3,000 to 4,000 structures. That is an enormous amount of work. We've seen progress made. We've seen like a railroad being built out of Keepstars from Catch all the way into Aquarius and into NPC Delve. That's phenomenal that somebody could do that some group could do that. It wasn't one group, it was multiple groups working together. We've seen the Imperium do incredible things to defend Keepstars, defend their territory from Keepstars being dropped. And we've seen them go head to head with this gigantic group of Pappy fighters in M2. These are not usual events. It's not the same thing, but this is a grinding war with some highlights. And again, I did a speech at Vegas about the continuum of war, and that war is just constant, but you have flashpoints of memories from big fights. And that's what we're seeing. You have this continuum of war with flashpoints of activity that sear your memory, because they're just so incredibly big, and so much is lost and so much is at stake. And sometimes it's a very, very creative gameplay. So no, I don't think it's all the same, just a different day. What you're seeing now, make no mistake, is a constant restricting and pressuring of the Imperium. But the Imperium is condensed down to its bones, and it's a lot harder than, constricting all the fleshy parts. So it is going to get a lot harder. It's going to stay a very difficult time here, but we really are at the bone cracking stage for Pappy if they make progress. On the other hand, you have the armadillo that is the Imperium that has only yet begun to fight and will essentially outlast that Python that is restricting their movement, their gameplay, and everything else. And maybe they tire it out and then get to fight back and reconquer, or take their revenge in one way or another. I think it's very dramatic. It's just slow moving. So I take issue with that. So we do look at it, but we look for pivotal fights and we look for fractures in the landscape of war. And that's what we try to report on. So we don't cover it every day, but we are watching it every day. And it's going to be a fight for the ages for sure.
I think another interesting another interesting point is many of the prior wars in Eve, there's one cataclysmic fight and one side leaves or quits. This has we've had a couple of really big hooking and jabbing matches and nobody's backing down and it's staying alive. So hats off to both sides, man.
Yeah, I think a World War One equivalent is or comparison is right. Like you had 4 years of war, you had trench fighting, two massive armies grinding against each other every day in the trenches. But if you go back and you look at a 6 or a 12-month campaign, we generally call it the Battle of the Somme or the Battle of this, right? So there's actually so much work that goes into these daily grinds and these daily struggles, and it just gets sums up with one name. So I think you made a great point there about the flashes in the pan. M2 I think was a big one. Some of the first keep stars going down were some big ones, but yeah, hats off to the Imperium, because I don't think any other alliance would have lasted this long. We're coming up on 12 months of war. They have been reduced down to a constellation and they are still having just as much fun as the day they started. And if you take a random pilot from either side of the war right now and you ask them who's winning, they both say they're winning. Both of their morale is high. I mean, I think it's an incredible achievement. And one thing you mentioned is the amount of structures that the Imperium have lost. And I think that's just also a testament to what they had managed to build over the last number of years in Delve, and also a testament to what Pappy's forces have managed to destroy over the last year in Delve. But it really is, I mean, this is just the beginning of a new stage, right? This is the next level now. And how long will this deep, dark grinding in these 7 systems go on for before one side eventually starts to crack?
Agent Blackbear says, feels like still 6 months from conclusion. Go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, Agent Blackbear, he and I have been kind of chatting back and forth here and there, but he brings up a really good point, is that morale, he says, is, and he's an Imperium member, is higher than he's seen since M2. So it feels different to him and his compatriots. So they're having fun. The Pappy folk I've talked to, they're having fun. So it's like, well, let it roll, man. Keep swinging.
Where are all the miserable people? Where are my people? Like, war is supposed to be misery. It'll get
Eve
miserable.
Eve players, especially the Null side, like the fights. Even the low sec guys in Wormhole, they like the fights. They're getting fight after fight after fight. So it's like, hey, drive on.
Well, the misery is coming, but it hasn't arrived yet. Go ahead, Abby.
I think the guys who wanted to avoid some of the misery have already left, or they have their alts in high sec, and everyone left deep down in the trenches is just in it for the content and for the pure fun of the fight.
And also, I guess I want to go back to the fighter thing. Why is this so hard to build T2 fighters? So building a fighter is not the same as building, let's say, a T2 drone. So for T2 drone, you need basically the T1 based material and one advanced T2 component. But for fighter, it's the same as building a T2 ship, which means that you need all 5 ratio advanced components in order to build one T2 fighter, and plus Morphite and guidance system, which is a PI. That means you have to farm PI and mine Morphite in a huge amount at the same time in order to resupply all the fighters that you lost in a fight. And right now, if you look at the true sec of that constellation, the only true minus 1.0 system in Delph is 3-TAC-D. So unless they're mining from anomalies or importing more fights, they're going to have a hard time resupplying T2 fighters.
Let's look at that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I mean, since they have to be importing or mining anomalies.
Yeah.
Yeah, both are possible. I mean, there's also wormholes. There's lots of ways to get in and out.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on wormholes.
No, don't. Jesus, no.
Let's do it.
No.
Okay. Well,
No.
But I mean,
I'm just saying.
The question
So,
is nullsec getting into wormholes and actually mining the heck out of it, or harvesting the heck out of it, and raising those? What you see on the graph, the worth of the blue loot coming out of wormholes has really trended up in the last few months. Is that nullsec, or is that
It's
wormholes?
everybody. It's everybody, but
not me.
I kind of don't want to talk about this because there's something in the works. There's actually some great material being done, and we'll have a show very soon about some of the cool statistics coming out of wormholes. I don't want to give too much away. I don't know what I can say.
All right.
Even ask what's wrong with wormholes. Nothing. Nothing is wrong with them. These aren't the wormholes you're looking for.
Yeah, well, Poshvin said the same thing. I don't know if wormholers are saying that, but sometimes it depends on who you talk to. But yeah, people who are satisfied with their gameplay don't want it to change. Why would you? If you're satisfied with it, you don't want it to change. I think it's people who feel like it's not quite right.
Most real wormhole corps that live in wormholes, that they fight in wormholes, they bleed in wormholes, they cry, they love it. They want their PvE sites to be harder and more riskier. They don't really like these massive roach fleets that can just hoover up mad amounts of ISK and blue loot, and if you try and drop on them, they just warp away immediately. One ship gets caught. So either the people with farm holes, whether they be other more Careberry wormholers, or they're nullsec groups looking to make a lot of money on the side, or they're even high secers who've heard about this stuff, whoever it is, the people who are extracting ridiculous amounts of ISK out of the wormholes are in a different camp than the real wormholers who want more risk and more danger.
Describe what roaching fleets are, since that's come up. I've heard of hobo fleets. I think roaching fleets might be the same thing. But what are they?
Yeah, it's just essentially, I mean, I guess roaches run around and eat up all the crumbs or something. I don't know where the name comes from, but it's you would have fleets of remote repping ships, often like Leshaks maybe or something. You usually use like 2 Leshaks, 2 Nesters. That's a decent combo, but it can scale infinitely. I'm not a pro on this, so if anyone wants to correct me in the in the comments, that'd be great. I don't run a mad C5 roaching farmhole, but you get like 2 Nesters, 2 Leshaks. You'd be able to remote rep and put out ridiculous amounts of damage. And the way the wormhole sites work is, and then you like have capitals. I think you can run dreads, or do the capital spawn the drifters? Anyway, long story short, the rats in the site only scram one person and one ship at a time. So if I come in there with a fleet trying to kill them, there's only one person who is scrammed, and then the other 3 guys can micro jump away. They're 100k off, then they warp away, they all get away, and the hunters only get 1 kill. So what a lot of the big wormhole groups would like is for like a simple solution would be for the rats to spread their points and scrams, and that way the whole fleet is vulnerable rather than one ship being vulnerable at a time.
Well, there's also that issue of Poshvin filaments to escape also.
Yeah, that's true. The fact that filaments work in wormholes to get out, that's also an issue with like evictions and stuff. If you've got a lot of expensive things, you can load them up into a ship and then filament out the nullsec or Poshvin or whatever.
But, so it's like a wormhole version of asset safety.
With evacing via filament, you are limited in what you can carry, because the largest cargo you can bring is in a deep space transport.
I don't know how much space this blue loot takes, but that's 50k just in the fleet hangar. I think 60k was the high scale, so that's a
With
lot of
a
space.
deep space transport maxed out fleet hangar is 62.5 at full skills, and then whatever the it's another 3,000 in the regular cargo hold.
Oh, I think an Orca, is it okay? Is it possible if you can fill them out an Orca?
You can't
I think
filament an Orca.
Okay.
No, you
No.
can always safe log an orc in a wormhole though and get it a month later. That's asset safety. It just ties up a character if you safe log it off and wait long enough.
All right. We have got to wrap up. It is time. We'll leave you with this image here. This beautiful image Alpha was asking about. We're headed over to Open Comms. We're going to continue the party over there. Special appearance by, well, I won't say who. It'll be a special appearance on Open Comms in just a minute. I want to say thanks to the guys here at Talking in Stations for hanging out. We're not going to go any further into wormholes. There is an effort being made to do special wormhole show specifically for wormholers by wormholers, and we'll encourage you to check that out so they can speak in their own voice about their own issues and stuff, and then we can talk about them outside of their existence in a different way.
And if we got anything wrong tonight, don't forget to hop on our Discord where you have a wormhole channel and you can give out to us there about what we got wrong and correct the record. That'd be great.
Right.
I'm sure you didn't need to remind people to correct us when we get wrong. People like to, when someone's wrong on the internet, correct them.
Engagement is engagement, yo.
Yeah. Yeah, check out Astrothy's videos on his CSM interviews that he's doing. He's doing a lot of work for you guys to get to know CSM people, and check that out. We may actually put a slate together this year. We're talking about it right now, actually, because we have such great people that help us here at Talking in Stations as far as, from all over the game, subject matter experts like Sutonia or Arcia, Teddy for wormholers, and so forth. So there's just a lot of really good experts that are part of Talking in Stations that are actually running on their own merits, with their own history and skills at offer. But we want to endorse them, and we want to say these guys, we know them, we've worked with them, they're capable of working in a group environment, they're responsive, they're responsible, and these are incredibly talented and smart people. And we just got to tell you, they're good people to vote for. Your vote won't be wasted. So we'll do that probably later on this week. But that's it for now. I want to say thanks to Abby for staying up so late over there in Europe. And
hey, no problem. Someone's got to fill in for poor Rundle, who's feeling under the weather today. Hopefully Rundle gets better. Drink some hot lemon.
Yeah. And Shen and Nick Bison and Gergoran, thank you guys for hanging out with us. And thank you for watching Talking in Stations. We will see you this weekend on Sunday, 1600 for the weekend report. Until then, fly safe.